Are we on, Trev? Are we on? Here, can you catch this? Well played, sir, on my head. Welcome everyone to the second edition of the World Cup in beer, of course. The last match was... What happened to the last match, Trev?
We won.
We won. You got this kind of like warped sense of reality because you keep thinking we won. We didn't win. We drew. It was
No, we won. We gave a goal for a special gift.
Oh, so you're saying that we actually conceded?
He picked it up and he put it in for.
I'll tell you what we did do. We gave that game, that goal away for you, Matthew. You know who you are, one of the top commentators on Beer Sweden.
Good eye for detail. Good
eye for detail, both on the blog and actually on the Facebook page. Matthew, that one was for you, okay? Just so you know. We gave it to you. You didn't take it, we gave it to you. Anyway, a good start to the World Cup. We've got a point. We've got a point.
Absolutely.
I'm not really that happy, but okay, we're moving on. We're moving on tonight because tonight, a little bit later on tonight, Algeria are going to be the next victims of the England football team. And we have been spending quite a lot of time actually, about 5 minutes I'd say, on Google to find everything we can out about Algeria. So I am an Algerian expert now, Trevor. For instance, do you know what the capital of Algeria is?
No.
Okay, absolutely. Algiers, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty easy, that one, if you think about it. Did you know that about 80% of the surface of Algeria is covered in sand?
No.
You see, fascinating country. Don't know anything about their football team. Don't really want to know anything about their football team, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, they're going to be playing the boys in white and red a little bit later on tonight. So fingers crossed for that. Now it's been a bit of a struggle, I have to be honest with you, to try and pick a beer from Algeria. There aren't any Algerian beers in the Systembolaget. I don't think there's any Algerian beers in Scandinavia, to be quite honest with you. The number one Algerian beer, or the beer that's drunk the most in Algeria, is in fact Skol Lager, which, to be quite honest with you, I wouldn't even put in my car, let alone in my stomach. Awful stuff. So I've had to really be quite creative, a little bit imaginative, even more than we normally are here at Beer Sweden, to be honest with you, to come up with a beer. I've chosen this one. I'll reveal what it is in a second. But here's how it's going to work. We're going to taste two beers, one from the good old England, the other one from, well, somewhere, somewhere else, and we're going to rate them on four things. We're going to rate them on look, appearance, smell, taste and drinkability, because as I said before, drinkability is very important when you're actually drinking beer during the World Cup. You've got to be able to get to extra time, people. None of this sort of really heavy bulk, stuff that gets you a little bit knee wobbly after 90 minutes. You've got to keep going, okay? So drinkability is important. So they're the four things we're going to be doing, and we're going to be scoring them. And the one with the most goals at the end of the tasting is the winner. Have you got it, Trev?
You promised not to hug me.
Huh? And I won't hug you. I won't hug you. Okay, so let's crash straight into it. Now, let's reveal the beers. The first one, of course, is one that you will probably have seen a lot of. It's all over the Systembolaget, and in fact you can get a 3.5% version in the supermarkets over here in Sweden too. Hobgoblin from Wychwood Brewery. That's in Oxfordshire in England.
Oxfordshire.
By the way, Trev, just have a little zoom back in on that. Does that goblin there, it's all very sort of Terry Pratchett-y. He looks a little bit like Fabio Capello, don't you think?
No.
Don't you think so?
No.
I just think he looks a little bit sort of, he's a little bit sort of goblin-like. You have a look tonight, you have a look on the touchline, he looks like that. Okay, now the second beer, time for the big unveil. Here is the thought behind it. We couldn't find an Algerian beer, so then I thought to myself, Algeria, what's it famous for? Do you know what it's famous for? Oil and stuff like that. That's not very interesting either. So then I thought, Algeria, starts with an A. Choose a beer that starts with an A. That's the first thing. And then I thought the colours of the Algerian flag. They are red, green and white. Green and white. So what begins with A and is also green and white, Trev?
Is that one of them trick questions, like a caterpillar going down?
No, it's a perfectly legitimate question, but you're taking too long. I'll tell you the answer. Asparagus. Asparagus,
oh.
Trev. Asparagus comes in both white and green varieties, and it begins with an A. So then I thought, why not have an asparagus beer? Do you like it? Because of course what I want people to understand, this actually by the way is from Hirschlev Bryghus in Denmark. What I want people to understand, of course, is this is a very serious tasting. Okay?
Oh, well, that's not clutching at straws at all.
Got a few comments last time that I wasn't taking it very seriously by putting Bud up against 1698, a strong ale from the UK.
Matthew got it.
Matthew got it. That's right, Matthew. That's why we gave you a shout out. Okay, so the first beer I'm going to pour up is Hobgoblin. Look at that. Classic sort of stuff, to be honest with you. premium ale, ESB style. The second beer is going to be this asparagus beer. Now I can tell from the look of the bottle, this stuff, people, is unfiltered and unpasteurised. Look at that. And it's actually brewed using asparagus. Straight out, let's kick off straight away. I'm going to have to say, spontaneously, some odd smells coming over here. Spontaneously, I'm going to have to actually say that Algeria have taken a cheeky lead, because to quite honest with you, Hobgoblin to me is pretty standard sort of stuff. You know, that's a very sort of classic English ale look. This one is slightly more exciting. I do like unpasteurised or unfiltered. Can you smell it from over there? Can you smell it? Unfiltered beers. They look kind of like raw and rough and sort of, you know, dangerous like that. So I'm going Algeria 1, England 0. Shock early goal, Trev. What do you think about that? Terrible. Okay. Next thing we need to do is we need to give them a whirl. Little swirl even. Little swirl. Now the first one I'm going to do is Algeria with the asparagus beer. My good God, Trev, you've got to smell this. Go on, give that a whiff. Seriously. Because this actually, as I say, uses asparagus in the brew. But I mean, that's a lot of asparagus, isn't it? This is just a huge hit of quite fresh, actually, white asparagus. It's got that little sweetness. You know, you get it in tins. It's more like that, isn't it? More than the sort of bitter.
With the brine stuff in it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very much that. And underneath that, if you can get past that, you've got a little bit of sort of, you know, honey, gold nail, little sort of gold nail-y sort of type, even though it's a wheat beer. A little bit of medicinal quality to it as well, a bit soapy. Interesting. Hobgoblin. Far more at home here, as you'll be, Trev, if you smell this one. Toffee, red currants, yeah, really sort of quite fruity, floral, fruity nose to it, underpinned by quite a lot of malt character, quite a lot of toffee going on there. Light toffee, not your dark toffee stuff, but actually quite light. Classic British nose to that beer, I would suggest. Now, in terms of scores, I like asparagus. Don't get me wrong. I'm not liking it in this beer. I think it's far too unbalanced. Maybe that's the point. I don't know. But I'm going to have to go. England have just equalised, Trev. It's 1-1. Right. Okay. Taste-wise, asparagus first. Asparagus beer. My first asparagus beer, Trev, and my last. Going over to this one. Now, after the asparagus, this one's actually pretty flat. It's pretty flat anyway. Hobgoblin is not, I have to be honest with you, my favourite British beer. I think it's a little bit uninspiring, not very sort of complex and hasn't got a lot of depth to it, and that's coming through there. But having said that, if you put it against an asparagus beer, quite frankly, it's another goal. It's 2-1 to England. Finally, drinkability. I'm not sure, what would you say, Trev? A beer that's 5.5% and smells of asparagus and tastes of asparagus, or a 5.2% classic English ale? Okay, it's not the world's best sort of thing. It's actually like watching, I don't know, Lampard on a bad day. You know, it does the job, but it's a little bit uninspiring, a little bit unadventurous. But even so, I think drinkability wise, I've got to give it to the boys in white and red yet again. It's 3-1, the whistle's blown. England are victorious, as they're going to be tonight, Trev. Yeah? Tell me they are.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. There's one thing, Trev, before we go, there's one thing I've always wanted to do. You know when you eat asparagus, you know that if you go for a pee afterwards, it stinks of asparagus. I wonder if that's going to happen with asparagus beer.
Go on, have a wee.
Yes, it does. Cheers, beers.
Football's coming home, it's time.